women will be headlining at WrestleMania. So this is crazy because it's bigger than me.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell. This is Diaz.
And the Sriracha Muchacha. Hello, my star.
And we've got a special guest here today to review WrestleMania. It's our favorite, Phil Lindsay.
Thanks for having me as always.
You actually have so much fans.
I know. Everybody loves you. It's always all the comments. And if you're not in the video, I feel like there's always at least like 2 people that ask, where's Phil?
A lot of thirst. A lot of thirst. Awesome. So we don't have weather delay here. It's not raining right now. We're inside. But WrestleMania started out with, how long was it? Like 30-minute weather delay?
Yeah, it was a minute where I felt like we were just sitting there looking at impromptu promos, and I was like, okay, we're gonna start this or.
But this is where you could tell who could talk and who can't, because they're like scrambling around. Like I could just imagine the chaos that it is backstage. You go do a promo. You go do an interview. I was actually quite entertaining seeing everybody scramble and trying to see what kind of interviews they could pull out of thin air.
The first women's match was the Tag Team Turmoil. This was a very interesting match. So where do we even start with this? Should we start from the looks? Because everyone was amazing in the looks department. So who stood out attire-wise?
I was watching with my friends who actually have never watched WWE before, and it was cool to see who stood out to them. And right off the bat, Riot Squad stood out, like with their looks, but also they said like what I said. I'm like, oh, so why Riot Squad? Please tell me everything. But they said the looks and that they had just a different like energy and attitude towards them. So cool that they came out as Harley Quinn and the Joker. That was really cool, and it actually kind of worked with them too. Because I feel like sometimes when people come out like cosplaying at something, it's like kind of forced, that it like worked perfectly with their personalities.
I was really impressed with how good Naomi and Lana's entrance looked. Their entrance was great. I mean, I know Lana gets a little bit of flack for the TikTok, but I thought she was really eating up that dance at the beginning. I thought it was great.
Lana and Naomi looked great. I mean, that's about it. That looked great about their whole WrestleMania moment. But they looked great. I think the Sexy Muscle Friends, Mandana, looked awesome. Mandy returning with a big...
She said inches.
We believe. She looked awesome. My favorite tweet I saw about Mandy is that Mandy fell, so Mandy rose.
Oh my god. They did look great together, though. I love their look. Did. It was different. They look like sporty Barbies. Like whenever you get like a Barbie set, and you could have them have different occupations or like sporty looking Barbies. But they looked great. Only thing is, it was kind of hard to tell them apart. Like even the commentators were having a hard time telling them apart. But I think that's kind of like fun too. But definitely Team Blantarage looked really good.
And Tamina and Natty look so freaking good. I did say they look like bathroom signs together.
I know, that popped me so much.
I didn't even think about that.
But they look freaking awesome. Tamina, we're going to talk about Wrestle Tamina a little bit for a Night 2 discussion, but really everyone looked absolutely amazing. But let's talk about this match. What the hell happened?
This match was as messy as the storyline going into it.
Oh man, I hate to say it, but I felt like this exposed Lana. I don't want to jump all over Lana, but I felt like she got exposed early in this match. And it could be just an inexperienced thing, but especially like some of those earlier spots with Billy, they just didn't connect.
Oh, it didn't connect because she tried to do that roundhouse kick and then she just kind of stopped and Billy's like, what happened? Oh my god, Billy! We have to talk about Billy's entrance with Carmella with the sheet.
She was basically just mimicking her entrance. She was like her own little mini Damien Sandow version. That was actually really entertaining. And also Carmella looking like money, like literally looking like money. But that was really entertaining. Like that is making the most of it. And while I'm thinking obviously Billy knew how long she was going to be in there, just doing those little things like trying to copy Carmella in the entrance will make her stand out. That's making the most of the time that you have in front of the TV, whether it's 30 seconds or 30 minutes. She's definitely making the most with the TV time she does get. And I think that's where Billie Kay excels. While she's not like as predominant in wrestling right now, the moments that she does get on camera are memorable and entertaining, and we're talking about her.
It was kind of shocking to see Naomi and Lana get eliminated so quickly. Like like 2 or 3 minutes into the match. I feel like this match got shortened a lot because of the weather delay. Each match was like 2 minutes, and it was kind of sad.
And I also feel like that's why it would seem so sloppy and messy, because I felt like maybe they felt rushed and maybe they did get their time cut right before. But I think that's the thing with gauntlet matches. Like with gauntlet matches, it's always so fast paced and so fast moving. And when it's always so fast paced and moving, it kind of, like you said, Phil, exposes people. Like if you're not used to that pacing and that style, there's definitely going to be some botches and some miscues on that. And I think it kind of put Lana in a bad spot, because everybody really knows, come on, Lana's not like your top 10 technical wrestlers, and that's fine. But I think they just put her in a position where she was like kind of set up for failure. Like they didn't you have to play up to her strengths, because Lana does have some strengths in the ring, but in the gauntlet style match and how fast it was, it definitely accentuated her weaknesses as opposed to accentuating her strengths. And I think that probably went along for a lot of the women in the match, especially the early ones. If they had a little bit more time, if they didn't feel rushed, I mean, I think it still would have been messy, because that's just how gauntlet matches are. But at least it would have had at least a little bit longer for each person to shine a bit.
Really, nothing worked in this match. Starting from Mandy just tripping on the way to the ring, and then we apparently had a lot of reports of wardrobe malfunction. But then also the announcer was like, correction, because he said Riot Squad got eliminated, but they were not. It was a whole package mess. But when NaTamina came in, that's when it kind of turned around, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Definitely. The pace slowed down, and I think the crowd got more into it when Natalya and Tamina came in.
I think once it got down to the final four, and it was the Riot Squad versus Natalya and Tamina, I think the match got much better. And you could tell that, the crowd was behind Tamina, and you could tell some of the crowd was behind Riot Squad. And I felt like even the Riot Squad's offense looked really good in the last parts of the match. I don't know if it made up for the entirety of the match, but it at least salvaged it a little bit.
Right. I think the crowd reaction too is that because this was kind of earlier in the card and people were just so excited to see everything, and I think that kind of helped because people were just so excited to see everyone. I mean, this match was what it was. It was fun to see everyone in the ring, but it was a mess.
I will say this though, I would rather see this than a random battle royal.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think my favorite moment involved a lot of Tamina during this weekend, but when Natty was trying to do the sharpshooter, then she was like, Tamina, it's your moment. And then she let Tamina do it. It was just it was emotional. It was like pure emotion. I really like that.
Yeah, very well deserved for Tamina. She's been around for a long time. Definitely finally deserved her WrestleMania moment. That was absolutely the highlight of this match.
Now from the perfectly messy match to perfectly perfect match. Main event of WrestleMania Night 1. It was Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks.
Oh man, this match, even watching it and after I watched it, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say about it besides that it was great, because it was so good. I don't think they could have done anything differently to make it even better.
I mean, just the chills when the bell rang. Two of them were just looking at each other. They were already emotional. And that's when you know that this is going to be something special.
You could tell when they both first came out. I mean, Sasha's entrance was fantastic. She looked great. She looked like a star. Just amazing. I mean, like you said, Bianca getting emotional and Sasha almost smiling like, act like you've been here before, rookie. I'm not going to get emotional with you, but I'm going to show a little bit of a smile.
She turned her head so that they can't see her little tear. Yeah, talking about that outfit, both of them look so amazing. But then especially Sasha Banks, from the hair to the outfit, it's the best she's ever looked. And that's saying a lot because Sasha always looks so damn good.
And I feel like just by looking at them, even before they if you would just put them side by side, I think for the first time in a long time, Sasha looked like a heel. She looked like very villain-ish, with that awesome cape, robe, and the darker makeup. I think kind of played up to okay, even if you don't know anything, you're oh, she's the bad guy and she's the good guy just based on their looks. So I think that did a really good job. Because honestly, I feel like Sasha always looks great no matter what she wears. But sometimes she doesn't really read heel if you're just looking straight at her before she said or did anything. And also, I just love her, how you said the entrance was just, I think she has the most swag, attitude, driven entrance. just how she carries herself to the ring just oozes confidence, and that definitely translates in what she can do in the ring. It was fun watching them, and also the crystals and the baby hairs of Bianca was a super cute little touch. I like that. That was adorable.
There's so much to talk about because it was just so perfect. I love the focus on Bianca's strength, but we've also seen that Bianca's super strong, but they did over the top. The way that Bianca carried Sasha from that dive all the way up to the stair into the ring was mind-blowing.
Yeah, the gorilla press spot was definitely one of the best spots of the match. Probably one of the best spots of the entire weekend. Just her carrying her up the stairs just looked so impressive. I mean, even like my dad doesn't watch wrestling, and he called me the next day and he was talking about it, and he was like, she really like carried her all the way up to the ring. I was like, oh, it looked amazing.
And not only that, did she carry her? She made it look so easy. Like with ease. She didn't even struggle, not one bit. And I don't think people realize how hard it really is to do that for both competitors. Because of course, Bianca is using her strength to lift Sasha, but Sasha literally has to post off her shoulder and not move. Because if Sasha moves even an inch, that's going to throw the whole weight, like how the weight is distributed. Like, it's really hard to be in a gorilla press, or just standing there for that long. But to be walked up the stairs, like, it is insane. It's like, everyone's like, oh, wow, she's strong. Yeah, but I also have to get up to Sasha for being able to sit there and post so good and so easily to make it look even better for Bianca. Like, this is the epitome of Sasha making sure her opponents look good, because if her opponents look good, then she looks good.
I think this match really showed how amazing Sasha is at being creative, but also telling just great story, because a lot of the spots came with Bianca's hair. You have that hair, you gotta use it, right? So all the spots using the hair was so creative, but again, it really contributed to the story, because at the end, it paid off when Bianca used that against Sasha and pulled her, and then she had the biggest whip. Oh my god! The biggest whip of all time. Like, it was a whip heard around the world. And the thing is, like, the thing about whipping and like slapping is that you actually never know how it's gonna actually go. It's kind of like it happens, but it was just so perfect. It was so perfect.
Definitely reminded me a lot of the storytelling from the Takeover Brooklyn match with Bayley. It was very similar in that way. All of the spots with her hair, like you said, were very inventive. They never felt like they were just doing it to do it. All of them felt, effective. It was just perfectly done. I mean, so once we finally get the hair whip, it is just so rewarding. It's such a great payoff. Even afterwards, when she hits the KOD, it doesn't feel like, oh, that's just it. It just felt like it didn't overstay its welcome. It just was perfect.
Yes, you're so right that you pointed out with the whip or a slap, you don't really know how they're going to turn out. Because there's been plenty of times where I've slapped people and I slap the shit out of them, but it doesn't sound good. And it sucks because my poor whoever I'm slapping got slapped super hard, but then the audience is just like, oh, okay. But if you hit them with the right amount where you can actually make a sound and it looks good, that's like what you're shooting for. It's a cool visual, but it's really the sound that I think that makes it even more menacing and more like, oh wow, like it makes a way bigger impact. And I really, really wanted Bianca to use her hair whip, but it's such a heel move. I mean, it really is. But how you were talking about, it makes perfect sense for her to use it, because throughout the whole match, Sasha kept on trying to use her hair against her. The way she wrapped her hair with a bank statement, that was super cool. Like, Sasha surprises me how creative she can get into the bank statement and what she could use with the bank statement. I mean, it's quite honestly a simple move that I'm always just like, just sit out, y'all. Like, when you're in the bank statement, just sit out. But the way she's so creative getting into it, different variations. I mean, the hair is really impressive, but it made sense. It was like a build up of her using her hair, where Bianca's just like, you know what? Enough. I'm tired of you using my hair. Whoosh. So it was really cool. And it made sense. Even as a face, it made sense to use her hair as a whip. So it was just like a story within the story of the match, which just had so many good different layers. And it was just so emotionally charged. Even before they even touched, it was so emotionally charged. And that lasted throughout the match. Because sometimes I feel like it was like, oh, super emotionally charged up here. And it kind of goes down. No, they definitely held that throughout the whole match for sure.
I also really like that Bianca kind of protected this move for a very long time. In NXT, she used it more often, but I don't think she used it in main roster until this time. So when it happened, it felt so special. So I really liked it.
I just think the way Sasha sold for her most of this match, even with the hair whip, I mean, clearly it was real because, I mean, we saw the mark, but I mean, just still the way she sold and just the way she made it look effective. Sasha lost this match, but I think this cemented Sasha's legacy as one of the greatest women's wrestlers ever. You could tell throughout this thing that she knew when to make Bianca look good. She knew when to make her offense look effective. She just was amazing. She's the greatest of all time in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this just was such a special match. And like Michael Cole said it, somebody finally said it. It was two black women main eventing for the first time. JBL, you can sit down. Like, JBL, you can sit down, please. I want to talk a little bit about Bianca Belair. I mean, this was a star-making moment for Bianca Belair. We all knew that she was the EST. She was great. She's got charisma. She's got promo. But I think this really put her to the next level. From Royal Rumble to this WrestleMania match, I think she's up there definitely with some of the top talents in the company.
I think they waited so long. They never put the NXT title on her. She lost 4 NXT title matches, I believe. And, you know, it just kind of felt like, when are they going to give her the big win? Because you could see the charisma was there. I mean, even during that program with Rhea and, you know, which eventually led to the Charlotte match, I thought Bianca was the star of that program before she lost. And, you know, it just felt like she deserved something better than just being, you know, Montez's wife at WrestleMania last year. And so to see her come this far now and get the Rumble win and then get her own moment and to be hoisted up by Montez at the end, like, it was hard not to get emotional with that because she's deserved this for so long.
She definitely is a star. And now, I mean, you could tell that she was a star, but like I said, I'm glad that it was definitely all like come full circle where she does have all this stuff to the makings of a star, but now she is a star. Seeing her family celebrate was really cool. Having her husband come out afterwards was really cool. So I'm excited to see where she goes from here. Because, I mean, if she's this good, like a few years into the business, can you just imagine like 3-4 years from now how much better she's going to be, if that's even possible? So I'm definitely excited what the possibilities are. I feel like we could talk about this match all day.
I mean, what's really great about Bianca, what she really showcased is that she's good in the ring. Again, she's a star, but she really moved everyone's hearts. She moved everyone's emotions, and that's really the most important thing about wrestler. So she's a star.
I also do want to say a lot of people were talking about how Sasha needed a win because she's 0-6 at WrestleMania. But quite honestly, Sasha doesn't need the win. Sasha already won. Like, even if it's not necessarily her getting the pin, Sasha won by delivering that amazing match. And quite honestly, I will say this about Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is a great talent. She's athletic AF, is strong, has charisma, but I feel like she hasn't necessarily like exuded being a wrestler. Like, she has all the elements to be like a wrestler, but I don't think we have fully see it all come together. And this is going into this match. I knew this is the time for Bianca to step up, be like, yes, you're a great speaker, you're athletic, you're strong, but can you make that work in a wrestling sense? And she definitely did. She stepped up, was amazing, but I think Sasha also helped so much with that. So Sasha doesn't need a win. And I think that just proves like that video that was going around where Sasha's selling in the ringside and she's smiling, because as a wrestler, thankfully I've been grateful enough to experience that a few times. Like, as soon as that bell rings as the finish, you know that was a damn good match. Like, you know, you did everything you could, and that was Sasha's feeling and moment. I could just recognize her, like, just in like yeah, we did that. We did that. I don't know if you guys know this, but wins and losses don't mean anything in wrestling. Yes! Sasha doesn't necessarily need a win. She already won. Look at her career. Look at what she's done. Look at this match. Sasha does not need to win, but she did great. Like you said, hands down, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, for sure.
And one of the greatest WrestleMania moments just in general. I think definitely greatest women's WrestleMania match, definitely all time. But this just in general, one of the best moments of WrestleMania history.
I absolutely think it's one of the top 5 WrestleMania main events ever. And I definitely agree, it's the best women's WrestleMania match ever. But yeah, on the Sasha stuff, I mean, I don't think people remember, we're coming off Sasha telling you guys in the Chronicle after WrestleMania 35, she felt nothing about being at WrestleMania. And you look at her face at the start of WrestleMania, standing behind Vince with a big smile on her face. And even here, like, you could tell she's back and she feels very motivated again. And she felt like she achieved something here. Like, this was her dream to headline WrestleMania. And, to have that dream as a black woman, that's almost seen as impossible. And she did it. So, I mean, she didn't lose here, man. She did not lose. And, I mean, I get it. I do feel like she should have more wins at WrestleMania. We could go on and litigate who she should have beaten, who she shouldn't have beaten. But I just don't think that matters in the grand scheme of things, because this match was bigger than wrestling, man. This was bigger than, who has won this or who has gotten this or who accomplished more. This is two black women in the main event of WrestleMania. This is a once in a lifetime thing.
Phil, wow, you said it so perfectly. This is bigger than wrestling. To see two black women had, first of all, main event, nevertheless WrestleMania, and pull out that banger of a match. Like that, it was amazing. I mean, being a woman of color, just seeing that. I mean, I will say I enjoyed this women's main event way more than the first women's main event. But this was just a different feeling, especially for me being able to like relate. And like, I even tweeted about this. Like, I feel like, oh, I'm just like a small, tiny little blip in the women's wrestling. But I just felt like we did this. Like, it was an awesome feeling to see those two women go at it, and not only go at it, but go at it in such a high level that regardless of gender, this is going to be definitely regarded as one of the best WrestleMania matches ever, quite honestly. But to be black women, and that should definitely be celebrated and noted and persevered. And hopefully this is not the last time, or I'm glad it was the first time, but hopefully it's not the last time that we see black excellence in the WrestleMania ring.
I feel like the talking point out of WrestleMania 35, everybody kept saying the women need Ronda Rousey to main event. No, they don't. This proved they don't. This proved that you could be a great wrestler and headline WrestleMania. You don't have to be an MMA fighter. You don't have to be a mainstream star. You can main event WrestleMania as a woman and just be who you are.
I just cannot wait to see how many women, especially black women, women of color, or even people, honestly, regardless of gender, are inspired to get into wrestling because of this match. Like, I know I said that in the live stream, and I just get so excited knowing that, because how many people go back and be like, oh, Bayley and Sasha and TakeOver got me into wrestling. But there's going to be so many people who will now pursue wrestling because of representation that they saw at WrestleMania.
My favorite quote of Sasha Banks, be so good they can't ignore you. And she just proved that so well by this match. Let's move to night 2, starting with the Antichrist, Alexa Bliss. What the hell was that?
I don't know what to make of any of that. I thought the entrance was great. I thought the Fiend coming out of that box and, basically regenerating and then coming out of the Jack in Box I thought that was fantastic. The match itself was very forgettable. I will say this is an interesting subplot for Alexa. I don't know what it does for the Fiend. I think the idea that Alexa was enthralled by the Fiend and she was a victim here, and then she has kind of taken control and she looks like she's in control of the Fiend now, is an interesting story.
And I think this is how you do an intergender storyline, but still adding to it, as opposed to like Reginald, who's there but doesn't, I think, really adds too much to the storyline. I think in this case, Alexa being in this storyline with the Fiend and Randy Orton has added some to it and has actually elevated and added a whole nother different cap in her hat, feather in her, whatever that statement is. I don't know English. Anyway, it makes Alexa look like she can do it more. Like, yes, she can wrestle, she could look good, but she could also do this. It was. I saw that tweet that she retweeted, like when you forget to wear waterproof makeup and you go swimming. But it'll be interesting to see where they see it with this, because that's what I got from it, is that she's the one that holds the power over the Fiend now.
One super chat said it the best. It was Alexa all along. It was so good. I don't know what does mean. What does mean for the storyline? Does that mean she is going to bring the Fiend's character into the women's division, or is she going to control Fiend now and continue that Fiend storyline as the witch of it all? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully we'll get to find more.
Whatever happens, hopefully it's interesting.
I mean, I think it's interesting that they're doing more with women outside of the women's division, and they're letting them do things and be in secondary feuds that aren't necessarily title feuds as well. And if anybody out of the division is a big enough star to do that, it's Alexa.
Let's move to the Women's Tag Team Championship match. It was Natalya and Tamina, the NaTamina, versus the Team Shania.
This was actually surprisingly good for what it was. I was surprised how much the crowd was behind Tamina. Like, we got Tamina chants straight away. There was a Tamina sign, which a Tamina sign at WrestleMania is just like crazy. There was definitely a guy holding a sign that said, "I love you, Tamina."
Wow.
I mean, there was a DF head too.
I'm still confused about that whole situation. Did someone actually print my face and brought it to WrestleMania?
It sure looked like you. It really did look like you.
I'm so confused. But anyway, back to Tamina, because this is Tamina's moment. Tamina! Oh my god. I got so emotional when I was hearing Tamina's name being chanted out there. I'm sure she was so emotional because she's been there for so long, and the WrestleMania crowd was fully behind Tamina. It was crazy. I was so happy for her.
And it wasn't even like a few like Tamina rumblings there. You could very obviously tell the Tamina chant and how much your crowd was behind Tamina, which was great to see. Like, I really hope this kind of like sparks, which is probably not going to happen, but hopefully sparks even bigger focus and push on Tamina. But it was great to see that. And I hope she got to like relish and take in the moment for her, because she's been there for so long and she really deserves it. So it was really cool to see.
She was in the company for a long time, and she had some Divas Championship matches here and there at the pay-per-views. But I mean, we got the sense that WWE never intended to push her to the front. Maybe she didn't fit their star mold. And she also talked about it in a podcast with Lillian Garcia. Like, she thought about changing her look. She had to like try different things. But all along, she was just perfect as is, and just WWE never gave her the right chance to be the star. I mean, this match really was built, it was constructed to put Tamina as the top babyface. And when she was doing that big, I mean, it was like half slam to Nia Jax, she tried. But, people were so behind her. The Superfly splash, when she showed that face, I was like, okay, this is the end. She's gonna win, she's gonna get the title. She didn't, which was really sad. But she really should have, I feel like.
I also feel like this match was just two single matches dressed up like a tag match. It didn't flow as well as usual tag matches. It just felt like Nia and Tamina were having a match, and then Shayna and Natty were having a match. But I also thought it was really cool how they exchanged headbutts, because in like Samoan, and especially in Samoans in wrestling, that's like a big thing that they use is headbutts all the time. And like, even when I was training, like, oh, if you ever get headbutted by somebody who's Samoan, you have to like sell the shit out of it. So it was really cool to see that going back and forth, kind of like paying homage to their heritage. But I will say this, Tamina was out of the ring for way too long. Like, over what was it, like a slam, or like damn girl, like what happened? Like, so I hope she got to enjoy the moment while she was out of the ring for so long. I just feel that kind of that took off the pacing for a little bit, because she was, I think even during the live stream, we're like, where's Tamina? Like, where did she go? Also, I did like how they made time for kind of each person to have like their own little shine moments stuff, as opposed to just focus on one person.
I love the tag move with Natalya and Tamina, where they did that
the slingshot super kick.
Yeah, that was great. But let's talk about the finisher. Did you like it or not?
No, because I mean, Natalya looks so dumb.
It did.
Like, you're telling me a third generation wrestler who was trained at the Heart Dungeon, that's been wrestling this long, has how many WrestleManias, is a vet, puts the wrong person in her sharpshooter and doesn't realize that she's not the one that's legal? Like, the thing is, if it was supposed to be like, oh, she didn't know who was legal, but then the commentators sold it like they knew who it was legal. Like, if that was going to be the storyline they were going to say, then I should have been a little bit more obvious. But when the commentators know who's legal and the competitors don't, I mean, in my opinion, made Natalya look dumb and inexperienced, which she's neither. So that's why I didn't like the finish too much.
I agree, and I think this goes back to what Paloma was saying. Like, it felt like two matches put together, because like the point where Shayna was working over Natalya, which Shayna looked fantastic throughout this match. Like, this was definitely Shayna's showcase for most of the match. Like, all of her offense looked really nasty. Like that ankle spot she did looked really grisly. The knee, which, I mean, Natty showed her lip afterwards and it looked awful. But I mean, if you're going to work somebody over like that for as long as you're going to do that in a tag match, you're supposed to be building to a hot tag. So I assumed that we're going to get this big triumphant hot tag from Tamina, and we didn't. It was just like she just jumped back in to break up the pin, and I was like, okay, so you wasted all of that time building to a hot tag that never happened, and then
sleeping outside.
Yeah, and then you get to the end of the match, and it's kind of the same thing. You build up all this stuff around a tag match, and you kind of did like the, oh, you know, she didn't see the tag angle. And it's like, yeah, but it didn't work because you built the whole match around Tamina being this triumphant babyface, and we didn't get the payoff for that.
I thought kind of differently because I could buy that she couldn't see the tag. So I thought this was a one way to make them not look too weak. And then kind of Natalya just kind of, she didn't tap and she kind of fell asleep, or she kind of, you know, lost her consciousness. So I thought this was one way to make them not look too weak. I don't know, I was fine with it, but I'm still very sad. I feel like this could have been a great moment for Tamina and Natalya to win the title.
I agree, especially because if they retained, what now? Like, it's not like they have built any other tag teams enough to be real competitors for the titles, so it was really no reason for them to win. I wish they would have put it on somebody different. They could chase the titles for a little bit, but this whole tag team has just been so, storyline at least, has been so thrown together. They haven't really, because they really have beat every other team besides Billie Kay and Carmella, and that's just because they've been a tag team for 2.5 seconds.
I really wish that this showed WWE that people are behind Natalya and Tamina. There has always been some doubt from the WWE management towards Tamina, so I really hope this proved them wrong, and so maybe they can have another match going for the next pay-per-view, which is Money in the Bank.
Just this whole match in itself just demonstrates that they are totally lost on what to do with their tag team. Coming into WrestleMania, logically everyone had to assume Lana and Naomi were going to win because the whole storyline for almost a year was Lana versus Nia. So I thought this was going to be the end of the storyline. It was like, nope, we're just going to eliminate them at the beginning. So I was like, okay, maybe Riot Squad, the team that is actually a team that they've been also building up. Nope, not going to be them. So then everyone gets behind Tamina, and it's like, nope, sorry guys, they're going to retain. It was kind of like, oh, okay, so what are you guys doing? That's what it felt like at the end of this match. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, one great thing about this match, no Reginald sightings. So
no Reginald sightings.
God.
Good. Also, do you want to point out the one spot? It was really cool seeing them give Nia a back body drop. It was kind of cool to see that visual.
Also, Natty's like upper lip is punctured because of that huge kick to her face. So, props to the ladies. But let's go to the highly anticipated WWE Raw Women's Championship match: Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. So, Paloma, one of your favorite bands, should I say, or one of the bands that you like, performed live.
I like New Year's Day for sure. Shout out Ash Costello, who inspired me to do my hair half black, half red. Performed. It was really cool. I mean, it was anytime somebody gets played out to the ring by the band that does your music, I think that just kind of elevates you right away, and it makes you look like even a bigger star than you already are. And Rhea looked like a star. Like, even if you don't know anything about her, like, I don't know her, but I want to know more about her. She looked cool. It's facial expressions that Rhea does, kind of like a cool, like, snarl and like kind of like a cool resting bitch face. Like, you don't want to mess with her, but you also kind of want to be her best friend and make out with her sometimes. Or at least that's how I mean, Asuka looks great all the time. I mean, I guess not lately, unfortunately. But Rhea definitely looked like a star just walking out to the ring, how she presented herself. So that was definitely cool to see. Also, side note, I'm kind of disappointed with the amount of non-WrestleMania entrances that they were. I feel like there wasn't a lot of like WrestleMania quality standard entrances in general.
They spent all that money to buy Bad Bunny's truck. It's probably. Oh, by the way, shout out to Bad Bunny for, first of all, that Insta story, but second of all, pulling all the diva moves, paying homage to Kelly Kelly. It's been great. But yeah, no. Oh, I think Rhea Ripley, like the moment she walked out, she looked like a star. 180 from the night one when she was just out there like tearing up about having the crowd back, but she looked like a badass star.
I thought the match was good in pieces. I thought there were spots in it that were really cool. Like the DDT off of the apron looked crazy. And
insane.
it looked great. There were a lot of hard-hitting spots in this thing that looked good. There were some great transitions and the holds, but for some reason it just didn't click, and I think it's because it felt like such a foregone conclusion that Asuka could win this match. Like, it just felt like from the very beginning, Rhea coming out with the bigger entrance and Asuka just kind of coming out, it just felt like we knew from jump that Rhea was winning this match. So it just felt like, almost like, all right, let's just get it done.
So I think there was nothing inherently wrong with this match. Like, the match was fine. Yeah, there was like a little bit of miscues and like that one botch, but there was nothing wrong with this match. It just lacked that emotional connection and intensity that I think Bianca and Sasha had. And I think we had that match so fresh in our minds that I think even we unconsciously compared this match to that. So obviously wasn't going to live up to that. But I think this just proves on why the need of good storylines, of character progression, why it's needed, because these were really two good competitors in a ring that had a good match. It was missing that emotional connection, that like, oh man, I can't wait. Obviously I couldn't wait for this match, but it was more because I knew both women can go. And like you said, I do feel like even Asuka kind of went into it kind of already deflated and defeated, which didn't have that spark that it needed. So I just think it was just missing a little bit of emotional attachment to it. And also the finish kind of came out of nowhere. I felt like this match, out of any matches, needed falsies. Like, they needed to have me at the edge of my seat. Like, oh my gosh, like so many, they needed way more 2 3/4 counts to get that, because it didn't have the storyline or the emotion that it needed to be. So it's a WrestleMania match. Do all the false finishes that you can, even if you don't have the storyline. It was just missing something.
The spice.
Yeah, exactly. Some sriracha, some spice to it.
There was no real suspense, and I think you're right with, like, because there were no false finishes, and I mean, even like how Asuka was fighting underneath early in the match, it just felt like she was beating down Asuka. And like we talked about with the Sasha and Bianca match, like, you could tell when Sasha knew where to make the face look good and give the face punchiness when they needed to come back. And I didn't feel like any of that was here. She just looked defeated throughout this entire match. It made me feel really bad for her, man. And I not in a, the face is losing. It just made me feel bad for everything that she's done for a year for the company. And to just go out like that for a championship reign and like that, it just didn't feel good.
And she didn't really even have a good, solid feud throughout this whole time that she was a champion either, including this one. Like, how can, like, out of all ones to kind of like even BS make up a storyline for, this is the one they should have, and it didn't. And I think it did seem to deflate Asuka as a character. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know what she feels like, but I even feel like she might have felt that personally, and that's why what didn't have that spark that was missing. I just hope that either Asuka gets some well-deserved time off, because she's been like such a workhorse throughout this whole era, and maybe gives her some time off to come back repackaged or feeling more rejuvenated, because it definitely has to take a toll on you personal, where you can go and have all these banger matches, but yet either creative or the powers that be don't necessarily see that. Well, I hope that Asuka, even though she lost her belt, I hope this means like kind of almost a new beginning for her.
I don't know, it was just very disappointing. I just had a lot of more expectation about this match, because we all knew that storyline kind of sucked going into it, and the match was good. The match was good, but there was nothing emotionally for us to hold on to. We didn't know who to cheer for. It was just a lot of movement that was happening in front of us without the emotions, and I think that was the biggest difference between the Bianca Sasha match and this match.
Everybody knows I'm a huge Asuka fan. Like, she's my favorite wrestler. Just how she won the title, to just hand her the belt. She never really beat anybody for the belt. And then to go straight into that, to have her lose on a count out. And then after that, to just throw her in a Charlotte storyline. She's never had a storyline of her own as champion. Her winning the championship wasn't even her story. It's Becky's story. Like, that's been her entire reign for over a year, has been somebody else's story. I mean, you can go all the way back to her winning Royal Rumble and how that was her moment, and it got upstaged by Rhea. I mean, even when she won the championship for SmackDown, upstaged by Ronda again. Ronda pushes the ladder over, and that's how she wins. It's like, give her a moment and let her just win on her own. Stop. And I get it. People enjoy her dancing, and they enjoy laughing at her. And I think it is giving them a cop-out to make her look like a clown. and so we can all laugh at her instead of taking her seriously.
I think it'd be cool to see Asuka be like a full-on crazy mean heel. Actually have a emotionally charged storyline where Rhea's the super white meat baby face and Asuka's like the super evil heel with the green mask. Come on. There we go. We wrote it. Let's go.
I thought when Asuka first came back, right after they did the, big Shayna knocked her teeth out, and she had kind of that like quick match with Shayna, I was like, this should be the WrestleMania feud. It has all of the interest of it. Asuka looks like a fiery babyface. Shayna is a fantastic heel. This was the WrestleMania feud. I felt like that would have been a better WrestleMania match than this, honestly.
And what better way to get some emotionally charged stuff going on besides you knocked my teeth out?
Yeah,
that is legit a reason to be pissed off at somebody. You knocked my teeth out. Yes, I'm gonna be pissed off at you.
What do we think about Rhea Ripley winning here? What's next for her?
I think she deserved it. I mean, I think her feet got kicked out from under her last year. I think she definitely should have beat Charlotte. And it's not just that she should have beat Charlotte. This was her WrestleMania debut, and it kind of got taken from, oh, you're gonna have this big live crowd. They showed the video of her going out to Raymond James Field, and then you got taken into the Performance Center. So I definitely think she deserved this win. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm an Asuka fan. I hate that she lost. But no, Rhea deserves this. And I think the story of, both Bianca and Rhea being the final two in the Royal Rumble and then them winning at WrestleMania is a great story.
For sure. I just hope they make the women's title, especially the Raw women's title, mean a little bit more. So that way, if Asuka does go back for it and gets her rematch, it'll mean even more. But I just feel like for the longest time, unfortunately, the Raw women's title fell to the Bayside and was like an afterthought. So I hope this means that it's built up properly. I'm glad Rhea won, but I'm also hoping the best for Asuka moving forward. If it means her not being champion but becoming a better character, then I'll take that.
We've also have Becky potentially and Charlotte on the horizon, so it could be a very interesting division moving forward for sure.
It was really weird seeing a WrestleMania without Becky, without Charlotte, and I mean, Bayley was kind of there, but she didn't really do much.
So speaking of, let's talk about Bayley and the Ding Dong segment. Most people thought it was going to be Becky Lynch's big return. So Bayley, throughout 2 nights, she had a lot of interactions with the hosts. She was basically a third host at that point. Last segment was Bayley came out and she was like, I don't even know what she was doing. And then someone finally came out and it was Bella Twins. It was kind of disappointing.
It was very disappointing for me. And I mean, it's the same vein as what I just said with Asuka, as much as she did last year. And Bayley's the same. Bayley carried SmackDown's women's division for a year, and for her to not have a single match on this card or not have a moment this year was very disappointing. She deserved better than that. And I mean, you get the Bella's cameo, but to have her, be beaten down at their expense. I know she's a heel, but I thought she deserved better.
It seemed wasted. Both the Bellas, whatever they did, and Bayley's appearances both seem a little like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't really care too much about it. And it was just insane to see how Bayley, like you said, literally carried the whole SmackDown women's division. And quite honestly, like SmackDown as a whole, because she was in like so many segments for a while, not have a bigger role in WrestleMania. And quite honestly, she should have been the host. I don't think WrestleMania needs hosts anyway. But if you're going to have a host, Bayley should have been the host. She would have definitely been way more entertaining than Hulk Hogan.
What did you guys think about the Bella Twins spot? I mean, they basically took the Rock or celebrity spot. I mean, there were a lot of different other celebrities, but they took that legend big spot and took out Bayley. I don't think people popped for it necessarily, because
a lot of people booed. A lot of people in the stadium booed. Yeah,
I don't think that's Bella Twins' fault, because people at the WrestleMania, they're like big wrestling fans, and they all know that kind of Bayley's robbed of this WrestleMania. So for Bella Twins to be at that position to take Bayley out on 2-on-1 fashion, I don't think it was it was smartly constructed to have Bella Twins be in good position.
I don't think it did anything for either of them. I don't think it did anything for the Bellas Twins. It didn't do anything for Bayley.
I think it would have been better if you were going to put the Bellas at any spot. It should have been during the tag team stuff, because they're tag team. And that would have been a better spot to throw them in some kind of cameo. I think putting them over Bayley, who has been on television all year, and they are not on television, it put them in a bad spot. It just didn't do anything for them.
But if anything we got from this segment is that Nikki Bella was physical. Do you think, is it physical enough for her to be like, she's good to go?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think most people want to see them challenge for the tag belts at some point. And I think that's the best place for them if you're going to bring them back at some point. If anything, I would say WrestleMania this weekend definitely made me excited for them to do an Evolution show. I've been asking for it every year. And again, if you're going to tell me you can't do Evolution without Ronda Rousey, you're wrong. And this show proved that you're wrong.
Did you guys think this was a good spot for Becky to come out?
No.
Oh, you don't think so? Okay.
I think they should save Becky for a big surprise. Like, I don't think them, like, her teases online aren't going to get people like, oh, she's coming back. Like, we need to not expect it, and it needs to be in a big angle. She was one of the biggest stars in the company for, close to a year. So I think they've got to do something big with her when she comes back.
That is our WrestleMania tonight. It's a WrestleMania 37 review, everyone. Hope you guys really enjoyed it as much as we did. And thank you again so much for over 30,000 people for both nights coming in to watch live with us. All combined. That was freaking awesome.
That's insane. I actually enjoyed WrestleMania as a whole in general a lot. I actually really liked both nights, but it was great to hear over 30,000 people turn into our live. That's awesome. So thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks for hanging out in this review, because I know it was pretty long. But hey, it was WrestleMania. It was worth it.
Let's wrap this up with Phil. Where can we find you?
You can find my writing at Bleach Report, and you can find my writing at Daily DDT. And if you want to do me any favor, if you want to do me a solid, go watch Lady Wrestler on Amazon. Support Ethel Johnson's story. She was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. They didn't do it correctly. If you want to know her full story, please go watch Lady Wrestling on Amazon.
You can find me at Paloma Star on Instagram and Twitter. And check out my YouTube channel, because I have a whole bunch of new matches, and I'll just randomly upload old promos that I have on my phone too. And April 18th, this Saturday, I think it's the 18th or 17th. Anyway, this Saturday, the 17th, I'll be in Lima, Ohio for defending my War Women's Wrestling Championship.
And everyone, you can find me at DS Shin and Ring the Bell DS on Twitter, as well as our Discord channel where we can talk about wrestling and RuPaul's Drag Race or Pokemon or whatever you want 24/7-ish with us. All right,
it's almost 24/7. We have people from all over the world in the Discord, so come join Patreon so you can join our fun Discord. Phil, we should add you onto there.
Yeah.
For the Discord? I'd be good. I'd be good for it. Like, I'm not saying don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. I don't want
Don't add me.
I was like, yeah, Phil.
Don't add me. I don't want to be in there.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.